The Truth About the Death of Adam and Eve, A Forgotten Story, Part 1. Introduction. Planting seeds of mystery, the flickering flame of a single candle casts long, dancing shadows upon ancient, time-worn scrolls. In the hushed embrace of night, we often return to stories we believe we know, stories whispered through generations, etched into the very fabric of our understanding. But what if the narratives we hold dear are merely fragments, echoes of a grander, more intricate tapestry? Tonight, under the gentle glow, we venture beyond the familiar, into the dimly lit corridors of forgotten lore. We ask a profound question, one that lies at the heart of humanity's earliest tragedy. What truly became of Adam and Eve after their expulsion from Eden? The Genesis account offers a stark, poignant conclusion to their story in paradise. But what transpired in the long, arduous years that followed? What was the truth of their death, not merely a biological cessation, but a spiritual and existential reckoning? Join us as we pull back the veil on a narrative largely overlooked, a story that promises to deepen our appreciation for the human condition, the nature of sin, and the enduring grace of the divine. Part 2. The Journey of Deep Discovery. A. The historical and cultural context, voices from the intertestamental period. To truly understand the death of Adam and Eve beyond the brief mention in Genesis, we must journey back to a vibrant, often turbulent period in Jewish history, the centuries between the Old and New Testaments. This era, known as the intertestamental period, was a crucible of religious thought, a time when scribes and scholars grappled with the implications of the Torah and sought to fill in the narrative gaps left by the canonical scriptures. It was a time of immense theological ferment, of Persian, Greek, and Roman influences shaping Jewish identity and belief. Within this rich cultural tapestry emerged a body of literature known as the Apocrypha and Pseudepigrapha. These texts, while not universally accepted into the biblical canon, offer invaluable insights into the spiritual anxieties, hopes, and questions of the Jewish people. They provided answers to queries the canonical texts left open-ended, offering moral instruction, prophetic visions, and indeed, elaborate narratives that expanded upon foundational stories. Among these, the life of Adam and Eve, or the Apocalypse of Moses, stands as a pivotal text, giving voice to the untold sufferings and ultimate demise of humanity's first parents. Why did such a narrative emerge? Because the human heart yearns for completion, for the full saga of those who walked before us, especially when their story is so intrinsically linked to our own fallen state. B. Decoding the ancient texts, the life of Adam and Eve. The canonical book of Genesis, in its profound brevity, tells us that Adam lived 930 years, and he died. Genesis 5:5. Eve's death is not explicitly recorded. This succinctness, while powerful, left a spiritual void that the life of Adam and Eve sought to fill. This text, preserved in various forms, Greek, Latin, Slavonic, Armenian, Georgian, and Coptic, offers a dramatic and emotionally charged account of their lives outside Eden, their repentance, and their final moments. The narrative begins with Adam and Eve after their expulsion, struggling to survive in a harsh, unforgiving world. The text details their hunger, their sorrow, and their intense remorse for their sin. It recounts Eve's vivid memories of their time in Eden and her profound guilt for initiating their fall. A central episode involves their attempt at repentance through rigorous fasting and immersion in the rivers, Tigris and Jordan, a testament to their desperate longing for God's forgiveness. Perhaps the most striking aspect of the life of Adam and Eve is its detailed portrayal of their deaths. Adam, feeling the approach of death, gathers his children and recounts the fall, warning them against disobedience. When Adam finally dies, the text describes a majestic heavenly ascent, with angels and archangels participating in his burial. God himself commands Michael to prepare Adam's body. The angels then bring Adam and Eve, along with Abel, to the paradise of the third heaven, implying a spiritual restoration. This is not merely a biological death. It is depicted as a transition, a release from the suffering of the fallen world, and a divine act of mercy and hope. The language is rich with symbolism: the smell of incense, the reverence of the celestial host, the divine decree. This portrayal offers a stark contrast to the barrenness of Genesis 3, suggesting a deeper, redemptive arc for humanity's first transgressors. C. The hidden theological meaning: suffering, repentance, and hope. Beyond the narrative flourishes, the life of Adam and Eve is imbued with profound theological significance. It explores themes that resonate deeply with the human experience of sin, suffering, and the yearning for redemption. Firstly, it amplifies the consequences of sin. The harsh realities Adam and Eve face outside Eden, the labor, the pain, the struggle against hunger and death, serve as a vivid parable for the human condition. Their suffering is not merely punishment. It is presented as a crucible through which repentance and spiritual growth occur. It underscores the power of disobedience and the profound rupture it caused between humanity and its Creator. Secondly, the text offers a powerful testament to repentance and divine mercy. Adam and Eve's extended period of suffering and their arduous acts of penance highlight the human capacity for remorse and the relentless pursuit of reconciliation with God. Crucially, the celestial burial and the promise of a future resurrection, as detailed in the text, present a radical message of hope. Even after the gravest transgression, God's mercy is extended and a path to restoration is offered. This contradicts a purely punitive understanding of God, instead revealing a compassionate Creator who ultimately provides a way for His creation to return to Him. Thirdly, the narrative introduces and develops the figure of Satan, the devil, in a much more prominent role than Genesis. Satan directly confronts Adam and Eve, boasting about his success in leading them astray and reiterating his own fall from heaven. This fleshes out the concept of spiritual warfare, positioning the human struggle within a larger cosmic battle between good and evil, a theme that becomes increasingly significant in later biblical and theological traditions. D. Controversies and theories. Canon, authority, and interpretation. Why then, if this story is so rich and provides such theological depth, is it not included in the canonical Bible? The reasons are multifaceted and illuminate the complex process of canonization. One primary reason lies in its date of composition. Most scholars agree the life of Adam and Eve was written during the intertestamental period, well after the completion of the Hebrew Bible. While respected, these texts were often viewed as secondary to the foundational scriptures. Another significant factor is theological divergence and embellishment. While offering profound insights, the text also contains elements that may have been seen as legendary or imaginative by the Jewish and later Christian councils responsible for establishing the canon. For example, the vivid descriptions of angelic rituals at Adam's burial, or Eve's detailed recounting of her temptation and Adam's subsequent fall, while spiritually enriching, might have been considered extra-biblical additions that strayed too far from the succinctness and directness of the canonical Genesis account. The question of apostolic authority also played a role. Texts included in the New Testament canon, for instance, were often those attributed to apostles or their immediate disciples, ensuring a direct link to the teachings of Christ. The life of Adam and Eve, while ancient, lacked such a direct claim. However, the exclusion from the canon does not diminish its historical or spiritual value. Scholars and theologians continue to study it for its insights into early Jewish thought, its influence on subsequent Christian theology, particularly regarding the nature of sin, death, and resurrection, and its contribution to the broader narrative of salvation history. It stands as a testament to humanity's ongoing quest to understand its origins and its ultimate destiny. It reminds us that sacred narratives often have many layers, many voices, and many paths to exploration. Part 3. Conclusion. An eternal echo. We have journeyed through the forgotten chronicles, delving into a narrative that expands upon the profound simplicity of Genesis. The truth about the death of Adam and Eve is not merely a tale of their biological demise, but a poignant exploration of the spiritual death inflicted by sin and the arduous, yet ultimately hopeful, path to repentance and divine mercy. We have seen how ancient texts, like the life of Adam and Eve, sought to answer the aching human questions left open by the canonical scriptures, providing a rich tapestry of suffering, remorse, and the enduring promise of God's redemptive love. What does this forgotten story echo through the corridors of our own lives? It reminds us that the consequences of our choices, however ancient the precedent, reverberate through time. Yet, it also whispers a profound truth, that even in the deepest despair, even after the most grievous errors, the path to reconciliation and the hope of restoration remain open. The death of Adam and Eve, in its fullest, most expanded sense, becomes a testament not to finality, but to transformation, a powerful reminder of God's unwavering compassion and humanity's perennial capacity for yearning, striving, and ultimately finding grace amidst the ruins of a fallen world. What further secrets, we must ask, still await discovery in the vast, shadowed archives of sacred history? The truth about